This is the Fulda Gap from Compass Games. It's part of the company scale system, and we're playing scenario for hold the line at all costs, and this is the situation at the end of the first turn. One thing I will say about this is I found this a lot more difficult to get into than I expected. I think it's because modern CSS is different from World War II CSS, which in turn is different from GTS, on which it was built on. This has got quite a different way of handling dispatch points and command. It's the same framework, but it's different. It's subtly different or radically different in places. I found the chits, there's lots of chits which are unique to this particular game, like refugees, politics, electronic warfare, the way the air support chit works. You've got the fact that the 1st Armoured Cavalry Regiment, its chit functions like a divisional chit, yet it can keep going back into the cup numerous times in a single turn, which is something totally unique. Alright, it builds up fatigue each time it goes back during a day turn. You can either play it immediately when it goes back for 2 dispatch points, or chuck it back in the cup for 1 dispatch point. That's all things you've got to think about. There's lots of different types of weapons you need to think about. There's a lot of anti-tank guided missile type weapons around. There's a fact you've got your infantry's like all armoured infantry, yet when it deploys it loses its movement factor, which is a bit like the World War II version of this game works. Some people have argued that you should be able to, armoured infantry should still be able to move even when it's deployed. I'd probably agree with that, and I would allow an armoured infantry unit to move a single hex in its deployed state, but I haven't actually done that. I'm thinking about it. I've discovered a load of errata, and I've also had a look on which are on Board Game Geek, and I've also gone through a few of the Board Game Geek threads, and the designer's sort of been changing some of the rules for this on the fly. He's changed the rules about how anti-tank guided missiles work over streams. He's also changed the way wheeled units and track units are no longer prohibited to cross streams, because some of these streams are tiny. People who've been in this area have said, you know, they're anything up to 10 feet across. And so I don't know about Allied mechanized infantry transports, but certainly the Russian ones are all amphibious. They should really just be able to go straight over those streams without any problem whatsoever. But he's changed it so a wheeled one can go in a column formation, costing 4 movement points, and a track one costing 2 movement points. I would still say there should be special rules for amphibious infantry transports, but there aren't currently. The game itself, this surprised me. These blue discs I've got here that mark the West German, what they call West German police, but they're not really. I don't know, sort of image of the old British Bobby walking down the street, you know, truncheon in hand, going evening all, evening all. It's nothing like that. These guys are armed to the teeth. They're like roadblock units. They're there to actually cause as much havoc and chaos to a unit going into that hex. And the thing is, every time to enter one of these hexes, you've got to use your entire movement allowance, and you cannot clear these things. They're there for the duration of the game, which admittedly is only 5 days. Yeah, again, I think that's a bit of an odd rule. I think you should be able to clear these things by spending a certain amount of points, movement points by certain units in there, or even fighting them. I don't know. But yet again, that's the rules that are in here, so we're sticking to the rules. Um, I've started marking the observation points with yellow discs. I do this in all, well, pretty much all GTS CSS games because they're actually quite hard to see, and they're important because they can extend, well, they allow you to see into some of these blocking terrain hexes. I don't think they actually extend your vision. They do in GTS games and some CSS games. They don't, because you've got like a visual range in clear up to 8 hexes. That goes down to 1 hex at night, and I think it's 3 hexes in the rain. If you've got thermal imaging, it goes up to 6 again. The interesting thing about weather in this game is I find this one a bit odd, that if you look at the sequence of play, it says weather. Once you throw for it, it's for the entire... to determine the weather for this entire... Oh yeah, that's me being stupid. I thought that said it's the weather for the entire game. It's the weather for the entire game day. Right. I think I'm getting too old for this. Anything else? Yeah, I've marked the victory point hexes in with green discs. I think I probably did that already with the other thing. We've blown a bridge up here using these engineers. I said we crossed a river which we'll use to get the next load of Warsaw Pact reinforcements to head this way rather than all being channeled up away from the main autobahn, which we're trying to clear. That's it really. As I say, I found some of the errata and I've started correcting them as I'm going through the actual game. Nowhere near as many as the people were making out when I looked on the Board Game Geek website. The rulebook isn't a total mess. I think where it falls down is it assumes a familiarity with CSS. I think I'm understanding a lot of it easier because I've played World War II CSS. I think some of the concepts aren't well described in the rule book, but they haven't really floored me too much. The one that tends to get a lot of people is quite a subtle one, where it says you can't deploy into towns and cities. Yeah, you can. What it means is your armoured transport can't enter those hexes. Well, what it means is when your armoured transport deploys, it's no longer tracked or wheeled. It becomes lag. Have we got an example here? I don't know if we've got an easy example here. Here's one here. This is an armoured transport Soviet. When you flip that over, that is a lag unit. All right, it has no movement, but you can deploy that into a city or a town hex. There's rules like that needs clarifications. I was looking on the Board Game Geek. A lot of people have fallen foul of that one, thinking, why on earth can't infantry deploy in cities and towns? That's ridiculous. Well, they can. It's just subtle. and it's so subtle, a lot of people just miss it. Right, that's it for the moment. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm exactly having fun with it yet because I'm still spending most of the time in the rule book, but it's certainly got potential, I can see that.